questions to ask throughout a campaign with the confidence rising. I told WDF don't switch, good times are coming on even deep diving. Fan cams, reactions, watch along, still the pride of London thriving. The Eagles of South, they flying. Keep your eyes on us, we ain't hiding.
Yes, guys, eagle-eyed football here, and this is the way how we round off every season with the 2023-2024 Crystal Palace season review. This is obviously a show we're gonna go through the season. We've all gone and agreed chat. We've picked out some key points that we're all going to talk about, and just I guess at the end of it, give the season a rating 1 out of 10, and. We're going to be looking at you guys' comments, seeing what you guys are thinking as well. So, let's see what happens. We have had some technical difficulties today, I have to say. Turned on my computer and I have Windows updates. So, long day for me. My computer finished updating 1 minute before it was meant to go live. So, sick. But anyway, I'm joined here with Rich, who isn't on his laptop, he's on his phone because he's also had technical difficulties today.
So Steph's got my MacBook, and initially she was meant to be home for this time, but she's gone out for some work drinks, which is fine because it allows me to must later. So I thought, I'm going to do it on my my Windows, and I'm having issues with that too. So yeah, phone settings.
Nikki, how's it going?
No technical difficulties here for me. I was just running back from my job interview from today. But yeah, no.
No technical difficulties, Rich. You know what that means?
Oh
no, we're not doing that again. No.
Yeah. Before we jump in depth, What would you say is like the overview of the season, Nikki? What would you say if you could summarize the season in like a sentence or two?
It's unhealthy being a Palace fan.
Rich,
it's not good. It's not good for your heart.
That's more than 2 sentences. Can't lie.
Sorry. I'm sorry.
For me, it's just emotional roller coaster.
I was gonna say disappointed but not surprised. But that's just pre-Glasner. But But the first thing you have to talk about is I would actually go back a little bit further than what the first point here is. I'd go back to pre-season because granted you cannot look at pre-season. We all know this. But I think we had a quite successful pre-season, no? Obviously, we lost 1-0 to Barnet, but we just had all our kids playing, so it is what it is. 2-2 with Bromby. We beat Crawley 4-0. We beat Watford 2-1. We lost to Millonarios 1-0, but that was a very good game to watch. I think we woke up at like 2 a.m. to do a watch-along for that. We beat Sevilla. I know we lost to Sevilla, but it was 1-1 and Eze scored a really good goal. And then we actually beat Lyon as well, who got Europa League this year. So looking at that, you're thinking, oh, pretty good preseason. Obviously, you can't take anything from preseason, but you're thinking, going into the league on, I guess, good form, no matter what kind of form it is better than nothing, no?
No, absolutely. And I just like the caliber of teams we were playing. We're now going to a stage where we're regularly playing like European outfits. That Seville test, considering that's very early in our pre-season, was a really good test because you saw their quality early doors. It took us a while to settle in that game, but we held our own. And bear in mind this once again with a load of injuries and some players just start to get minutes here or there. I think it was a very successful pre-season.
Nikki?
Yeah, I agree. Definitely on the points of the teams that we were playing for sure, because a Palace preseason, like I remember our one of the preseasons where we were just playing, any team that's just in and around the city at that point. No, so you had your usual pre-seasons against outfits that, you know, aren't really on our caliber. And then, you know, you face your typical foreign team. Like we played Schalke in a nothing game one pre-season ago. Yeah, it was a nice little test to see where the squad was at. And you know, we're going back to America again, just like the season just gone. We're going to be going back there again this season. And it certainly seems that that's the area that preseason for the Premier League teams is going to be focused on, because that is a huge market for them in terms of just the US side. But yeah, good preseason.
Yeah, and I think that trying to build a fan base in America is definitely something that most teams are trying to do these days
Yeah.
in the Premier League, isn't it?
Yeah.
And to be fair, we've actually got a half decent following in America, because we have got Chris Richards and we had that other guy Montez, but he lasted about 10 minutes though before we sent him out on loan again. So we've actually got a decent fan base in America. We can see that because of Tim and these man that jump on and talk to us pretty often. But the next topic is the transfer window. In the transfer window, for the fourth year running, I was calling for fullbacks, and guess what? We still got none. And really, we spent a lot of money on not a lot, if you look at it at the start of the season, because that was when Sam Johnstone was playing out of his skin. And then we bought Dean Henderson for £20 million. You're thinking, why? You spend 20 million on França? Cool. I'm not mad at that. You know, young player, something that we're going to try and look to progress with. Sick. Lerma, incredible signing for free. Absolutely incredible.
And very early too.
I can't actually... Did we make any other signings? I can't remember. I think it was only those three, wasn't it?
No, Rob Holding.
Aha, the biggest waste of £1 million. The biggest waste of £1 million I've ever seen. So if you look at it that way, you think, okay, we strengthened, but not in the places where we actually needed to. We needed a striker. We needed another forward because Elise was injured from the Euro. Was it the Euros? It was the under-21s Euros, isn't it?
Under-21s European.
That he got injured in literally just before. We're thinking, like, he's going to be out for time. Why are we not looking for even a loan? We didn't even get I don't think we even got one loan in this season. So we haven't utilized our loans properly ever since
Connor
De Boer, I want to say.
Yeah. I think we really felt it with the Gallagher not signing for us. That it's like,
But Gallagher was only one loan. We had two. We haven't used both our loans.
Yeah. No, I know
De Boer.
that. But this is my opinion. I just feel like since Gallagher only did well for us and then dipped, I think we've just been very like loan signings. I think we should use them still, but I think it's been a bit like.
I think loan signings for squad depth is good. Loan signings for starting players is not good. I think that's what we need to sort of realize now. But the fact that we've done good business in the places where we didn't need to do good business, we already had enough midfielders, let's say, to last us the season. But Lerma, you can't turn that down. França, great. You know, looking to go forwards, it was marketed as the Wilf replacement. Everyone's thinking, yes, sick. But then 20 million on a goalkeeper, we've already got a sick goalkeeper for free. It was a bit dodgy at the start of the season. It's looking good now because of all the injuries and stuff. It's looking good now. But before Glasner, I was still looking at it thinking, why the hell do we spend so much money on a backup keeper? And fullbacks, man. We started the season with one left back and one right back. Why? Because Klein was injured again at the start of the season. But you know, we strengthened, but in the wrong places. And also, Rob Holding was so dead against Man United in the cup that he got injured and never played again. So
I still don't understand why we signed him
To be fair, £1 million, you take the punt.
Yeah. It
Sure,
was literally
sure.
for depth. It was for depth.
Maybe it's a case of the club and Tompkins knew that this was it. This was his last season, and the club were looking like, okay, who's in that little ballpark
But
figure that we could maybe.
The thing is, though, Nicky, if that was the case, you would have kept Jake O'Brien for another season.
Yeah,
You would have sent him out on loan, and he would have come back and done a madness next season. But instead, we sent him to Lyon, and he did great. Don't get me wrong; he's probably worth 25, 30 million now because of how young he is. But it could have been 20, 25 million that we could have sold him for, not Lyon.
exactly.
Even though we have a sell-on clause, it ain't enough, really. It's
No.
only 15%.
Is that it? Wow, that
So
is bad.
it's a very bad deal for us, basically, because he would have cooked at a free at the back. But is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Did you put these notes in order? I don't think you did you? You're
He's muted.
I'm muted. When I screenshotted last and put it in the chat, I put it in some sort of relevant order.
Okay, so.
But I think it kind of it's the way that we've done it is a topic that was being discussed can go anywhere basically. So I know we weren't talking about the highs and the lows. That could have been anywhere really.
Where should we go next? Yeah, let's just go from top to bottom. Even though this season was a bit mid, I think we can all agree on it. There were pretty significant results. And I know that we have very significant results under Glasner. But even Roy at the start, because when I was doing the research for me and Dan's next Tact Eagle, I was actually watching back all our early games in the season. And actually, early on in the season, we were still replicating the kind of form we were playing at the end of the season before under Roy, where we was playing a good attacking football, we was moving forwards, was very deadly in the final third, was passing the ball well, there's lots of desire. That's how our season started, because we actually had some very good results. We beat Sheffield. We lost to Arsenal very narrowly. I think it was only a penalty. Drew with Brentford, and then we beat Wolves. I think we had a good start to the season. We was playing well. But it was the Villa game that killed us. The Man United game gave us a bit of hope. But when we got pumped 4-0 by Newcastle, that's when it just went downhill. And that's when, the downfall of Roy, I guess, started, let's say. But there were still some significant results. The Etihad 2-2. Great result for us because Elise just came back. But I do seem to remember that there was a dodgy incident where I think it was Mateta or was it Edouard that was running through on goal. Edison came outside of his penalty area, wiped him out, and you're thinking that's a red card. What's happening? Gets a yellow. There's some dodginess going on here because remember last season, Edison tried to roll the ball out. Edouard got his foot in the way and scored.
Yeah.
Oh, same thing again in 2 different seasons at the Etihad. That because the thing is, if that goal would have stood, that would have made it 3-2 to us right at the end of the game, I believe, because it was one of the last kicks of the game. You're thinking, come on, man, just give us a break.
You mean the Edouard one?
Which one?
At the Etihad, the Edouard blocking.
That was last season. But
that would have made it 3-0.
Yeah, so we would have. So we would no, we lost last season there.
Yeah, because we lost. Was it 4-2?
Yeah,
because Holland
so
got in a madness.
but
Yeah,
that would have left us 3-0 at half time, and then they never would have come back from that. I don't think.
Yeah.
And then this season, Mateta was clean through. Edison comes and wipes him out, misses the ball, and doesn't even get sent off. You're thinking, what? But that was one of the results. Also, the one that you went to, Rich, the Old Trafford 1-0. I wasn't there, but
brilliant.
Do you want to speak about that performance?
It was brilliant. It was brilliant. A very dogged performance in terrible conditions. We did ride our luck. I remember Hoyland dinking it over Johnston and Mitchell getting clearing it off the line. And then when you look back on the replay, it was like, oh, actually, that's quite comfortable clearance. Lots of like block shots. I think Mitchell, one came off his foot and just went wide of the post. But we played well. We defended very well. And I think what was very impressive is once we took the lead, I think we managed the game very well. You know, and I wouldn't say Man United had many clear-cut chances that day. You know, so no, it was brilliant to see us obviously navigate a very, very good away win. You know, and at that point, I'm thinking to myself, obviously we've just come out of the Carabao Cup, but I'm thinking to myself, all right, Roy, you've started the season okay, considering the circumstances. You know, let's hope it continues. And then Roy kicked him.
Because yeah, I think we can all agree on some other notable results. We beat Burnley twice. You know, we smashed up Brentford 3-1. We beat Anfield. And then right at the end of the season, West Ham, Newcastle, Man United, Wolves, Villa, just a great end to the season.
For sure.
So we've had a good wins, good results, but it's the last minute goals that has killed us this season. You could say it's the injuries, but I would say it's the last minute goals. And for me, the main issue with the last minute goals is it just showed an absolute lack of fitness. And Oliver Glasner has just made that so clear for absolutely all of the fans. Nate, which last minute goal do you think hurt the most? And like,
good question.
Yeah, I know which one it is. Well, for me,
Luton Town at home for me personally. That one was an absolute gut punch. I mean, there's been so many this season, so it's kind of difficult to really reel back and go over every single last minute goal. But it just seemed like the one unavoidable thing: Death, Taxes, and Palace conceding 90th minute equalisers or 90th minute winners. I mean, don't get me wrong. On the grand scheme of it, the way we ended the season, nobody's going to remember the amount of points that were dropped. But you know, that's what we're here for. We're here to relive those dark days of us going through the motions of here we go again. You know, obviously, you look at the context of some results this season where we dropped points massively. Again, questions have to be asked: what were we doing under Roy? Because the majority of those games were under his tenure, and you're saying to yourself, okay, look, we don't have, you know, a team full of megastars where if we lose one game, it's not the end of the world. But we were losing very, very easily winnable games. And at the minimum, drawing games where you're thinking, a point's not bad, but no disrespect to Luton Town, you're thinking we should be beating Luton. They are the literal newcomers of the Premier League, you know, no slight intended. But they proved to us that you can have little to no Premier experience, but you know how to win games, even if it is by any, you know, you're looking at it and going, how the hell have we lost to a team that were in the Conference League only 10 years ago? But that just shows you how unprepared we were for the season. Because, JC, you'd said it on countless transfer weeklies that we needed squad depth for this exact scenario where you need players to close out games. Lo and behold, when we needed those players, we didn't go out and get them. But, yeah, to answer your question, and I know I've gone on a bit of a tangent here, but to circle it back to your question, it's got to be Luton Town at home. There's so many I could pick from. But Luton Town at home felt to me like the gut punch because you're like, okay, we didn't blitz Luton Town, so it's not like we were clear. It was night and day as to we had the game won, but so late in the game, and we've been on the other side of it. You know, Mikel Antonio, West Ham a few years ago, to be on the other side of the fence where you're just like, how the hell did we not win that? Yeah, that one hurt for sure, and I think Spiritual agrees with me when he says Luton. So I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, Nikki, which one would you go for?
Exact same as Nathan there. Luton. It was just in the worst possible way as well. You know, there's not much I can add on from what Nate's just said there, but yeah, Luton for me.
Rich?
Mine's actually Villa away.
I was going to say Villa away because it was 2 goals late. It wasn't even 1.
Yeah, and one of them, the penalty was never. I think that's the one that just annoyed me the most. You know, because it was the way we managed that game, which absolutely peed me right off. It wasn't a penalty. Hughes was pointing at Mitchell to cover the run that he should have covered, and obviously the last goal, there's nothing you could do about it. We're trying to push for an equaliser. So yeah, and very closely followed as well. I know Luton's the obvious one, but I think we played well in that game. Chelsea. I'm
Chelsea at home or away?
Which Chelsea one though?
Away.
They both peed me off.
The away one annoyed me more.
Yeah, it was a dumb penalty to concede. But in the home one, how are you leaving Gallagher free on the edge of the box? You know,
Like we didn't know what he can do.
Yeah, I think another one actually was Roy's last game, isn't it? We went 1-0 up against Everton and we held on, and then they scored in the 88th minute to equalise at 1-1. Like, granted, that's probably a good thing because that probably got him the sack, but like, it's still 3 points that we missed out on again, isn't it?
Yeah.
But I think the fact that we're picking up so many examples, that I think that just shows the issue that was there just throughout the whole season.
That's why we were depressed for half the season.
Oh yeah,
it actually became a thought of, oh god, we have a match reaction to do tonight. Did we have to relive this game? Can we just forget it happened? And look, the two of you at the top of the screen there, you two were the ones reliving it the majority of the time. I was kind of lucky that most of my work shifts I was finishing at 9 p.m, so I couldn't make match reactions. So I was like, I don't want to relive that game. I really don't. I want to forget that it ever happened. But you know, look, we were in the position that we were in. Parish wanted to back Roy because Roy did well towards the back of last season. But JC, I don't know how many times you said it, Rich said it, Nicky said it, Dan said it. I believe I would have said it as well. We should have let Hodgson go at the end of last summer. Obviously, Parish felt otherwise. But just think what Glasner could have done had he come in at the start of the season. Obviously, we'll never know. So that's obviously a moot point. But you look at what we did in the last, 12, 13 games? Crazy. And these are with the exact same players that Roy had, with the only exceptions of Wharton and Munoz. They're the only two that Roy didn't have when he first started the season away at Sheffield United. Now, obviously, but you see what I'm saying is that we've seen Glasner do a madness without a transfer window. So, you know, hopefully, if we get a lot of things right this window and we minimize the outgoings to key players, no secret who we don't want to see leave. But
playing devil's advocate to that, would you maybe say that January window was for Glasner? Because Munoz is far away not a Hodgson signing, and I'd say the same thing for Wharton.
Oh yeah, easily.
Would you say that maybe Glasner kind of did have a transfer window, in the fact that we knew we were getting him in at the end of the season, and he wanted these players to help better the squad for when he comes in?
Well, we've been crying out for a pacey fullback for God knows how long, so that was a badly needed upgrade. And Adam Wharton,
fullback, full stop, let alone a pacey one.
Yeah. No. But you know what I'm saying is that, you know, ideally having a pacey fullback covers, you know, the likes of Joachim Anderson who isn't blessed with pace. But to see the likes of Wharton and Munoz come in, especially with Chet Decore injured, you're thinking to yourself, do we have to see Jairo Riedewald play football for the rest of the season? Oh no, we brought in somebody from Blackburn. Hopefully he's good. We didn't realise how good at the time. But you're thinking, we got him for £18 million. Hey, someone called Crime Stoppers. We've robbed Blackburn. You know, but look, it's one of those, JC, where the important thing was we brought in Glasner at the right time, and we've been reaping the rewards. Because even in the games that we lost under Glasner, you were thinking, do you know what? We're playing so much better. There's a win down the line. Obviously, nobody foresaw us winning 6 of our last 7. That's just crazy. But hey, we're definitely not complaining, because some of those wins towards the end of the season were just Nobody foresaw winning at Anfield and smashing Man United at home. Pause. But it is what it is. We deserve to win both of those games, even if we rolled our luck at times against Liverpool.
Can I quickly change my answer to the worst late defeat? It's actually not. It's not Villa now, and it is Luton, but not Luton at home. It's for me
Luton
actually
away.
Luton away. Because when I think about it, we lost 2 key players in that game, and then Anderson and Johnston between them didn't know who should go for the ball. And what was that? That was in the 80-something minute as well. When we conceded, it just felt like such a crap day.
Yeah, I think that was to make it 1-1, right? No, 2-1.
Morris made it 2-1. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, funny enough, that is the next point. And Luton away, in my opinion, was the biggest turning point of this season, because that was the only game that we started with Eze, Elise, Edouard, and Decore, Gay, and Anderson all in the team. And to be fair, they played for the whole first half, and we were absolutely useless. And we had our first team out there. And then then Eze gets injured. It was a definite foul. I don't know how the ref didn't give a yellow for that or a free kick or whatever. But, studs down the Achilles with a history of Achilles injuries. Yeah, straight off. Guess what? He's out for 4 months. Decore does his ACL when trying to pass. Also gets fouled. No yellow card. And yeah, I think Spiritual's got it right here. The game was tragic because we lost our key players and we lost the game as well. Even though Elisa had a beautiful goal, it was just tainted by everything else about that game.
It was such a bad game.
And the thing is I would say that this is the turning point of the season. I feel like this is the point where we knew that Hodgson, it was sink or swim then. It was either you make a change and we ride it out and we try and do something, or you stick with what you do and you do the same thing over and over and over again. I think you guys can tell which one we did. We tried to put square pegs in round holes, and it just didn't work.
No.
Because one of the biggest things that I saw from that game is just seeing how Rob Edwards, and this is no discredit to him because I think he's a fantastic coach, but he absolutely out-tacticked Roy, and Roy had 0 answers. He didn't know how to handle a Bene, Kabore, Doughty, Barkley. We were all over the guy. Like, it literally took a moment of brilliance for us to score. And granted, Edouard had a disallowed goal. I think it was for handball, if I'm correct, which he took well. But we had 0 answers.
Luton deserved it.
Yeah.
100%.
I mean, Kaminsky made a good save from Schlupp as well in the first half, but we struggled.
Yeah,
Plus, it was during that time where Kenilworth Road turned into a somewhat of a fortress for Luton Town as well. I think it's also a case of hubris, I think, as well, because we went there thinking, oh, it's only Kenilworth Road, it's only Luton Town, it's only up the road. I think Roy certainly must have felt that. He certainly must have thought that. I was, oh, it's Luton Town, what can they do? Lo and behold, look what happens. And, we were put to the cross, so to speak.
Because I think it just showed that their wingers just absolutely decimated us. Like, Ogbene at the back post, when we know Mitchell's not that good at back post heading, just absolutely tore him a new one all game. And the thing is we made, like, granted they got relegated, but they did make a good fight out of it. But we made some of their players look so much better than they actually are. Like, Ross Barkley was looking like Kevin De Bruyne at some points in that game. He was just on the ball all the time, and there was nothing we could do about it.
Yeah, there we go. Beginning of Fortress Kenilworth. That was it. That was it. That was it.
That game epitomised charity professional football club. What was that? Definitely. You haven't won a Premier League game at home? Yeah, come play charity professional football club. We know how the promo goes.
That's exactly
that's what it was. That's what it was. It was literal charity professional football club settings. I think I even put it in the group chat, and even and
That's
nobody
that's
disagreed. Everybody
funny.
was, yeah. Oh, it was just, yeah, it wasn't great, was it?
It was dire football.
I mean, you got to remember, we were spoiled. You know, we were spoiled.
Well, we're not going to jump that far ahead yet,
Not yet.
but
No, but just referencing what was said after that game. That's all I'm referencing.
yeah. But with the injuries, let's say, and then we had another injury to Lerma, and I think Hughes was out for a few weeks as well at some point in the season. Then Roy all of a sudden thought, you know what, yeah, I've been watching Tactical, but I think I'm better than Tactical, so I'm going to play Chris Richards in the midfield. And that is where I believe... And that is where me and Dan looked at each other on Tactical after that game at West Ham, and we both looked at each other and said, what the hell has he just done? Because I'm not doing a Tactical saying that Richards is in midfield. There's no way. It was that bad. Take out what Richards has done under Glasner. Try and remove that from your mind. How awful was he in midfield, Rich?
It was tragic. Now, his defensive output in midfield was okay. Not great, okay. But I think it was the Bournemouth game where we realised, yeah, this brother can't pass.
It wasn't the Bournemouth game.
Which one?
Remember, it was the Chelsea game when me and you were both standing there.
No, but I was going to get to that. For the Bournemouth game at home, and then we had the Chelsea game away. The man then weren't passing to him.
Bro, it's like Will in pro clubs, isn't it? You just don't pass.
Oh my!
Because the thing is with Chelsea, they weren't pressing. Richards had all the time in the world on the ball, and he still passed back.
It was so bad, so bad.
But the thing is, though, we'll laugh at it now, but we have to big up Richards for this season, though, man. He played midfield, he played left back, he's played right back, and he's played centre back in a 4, and he's played centre back in a 3. Playing 5 positions in one season, and under Glasner, looking good in like every game he's played under Glasner as well. I think it deserves massive respect. Like
100%.
he is one of those players that we need in this squad. He's just versatile. He might not be amazing in every position he plays, but that one position at centre back, he's incredible, and he can fit in here and there if you need him to. So I think you need to big him up for his performances this season.
And
also, with his injury
such
record,
a professional as well. He didn't complain at all.
Also, with his injury record, he had 26 appearances this year. Like that is incredible for someone that was built like Weetabix.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And
the American Martin Kelly, because Mr. Utility, when you need him, to fill in, he can. Pause.
Mm-hmm. That's a crazy pause. That's but yeah, and as Rich said, like no complaints. Was like I think he even after the last game of the season, he was one of the guys bigging up Hodgson as well, saying like we can't forget what he's done to his club in the first half of the season. And you're thinking, right, I wouldn't have said that if Hodgson did what he did to me in that situation. But the season started turning into a car crash. Let me go back. Yeah, the season started turning into a car crash, didn't it? Losing to Chelsea, drawing to Brighton, losing to Liverpool, getting absolutely hammered by Arsenal. And
yeah, that hurt. That Arsenal game massively hurt. That was just like, okay, I know they're good, but like, look at the game at Selhurst Park to the game at the Emirates, and you're thinking, how the hell have we lost 1-0 at home, but got absolutely cooked at the Emirates? And I know Arsenal at that point were finishing teams off. But you just look at it and go, huh? We're not that bad, are we?
It was hammered by Arsenal, hammered by Brighton, hammered by Chelsea, and then a loss in the cup to Everton for no reason as well. And the Arsenal game is the important one because that's where the Roy banner came out.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Nikki, how influential was that banner from the Fanatics in the rest of our season?
Well, it certainly got people talking about us. Palace were all over social media. BBC News were covering it. Sky Sports covered it. Talk Sport were talking about it for days on end. I think that was their top story.
But the way they were
entire
covering
week.
it was wrong.
The way they were covering, yeah, of course. The media coverage with Palace is always give and take. It got people talking, and it certainly was the crucible upon which Roy finally, I think, did it in, because Parish took note of that. He clearly did, because it's come at a point where the fans had enough. It was
he was so hurt.
He was right there. Look at that angle. Look at exactly Roy's eye line. You cannot miss that. You absolutely, you have to be blind to miss that. All right. It certainly became a point where the fans in general had looked back at the summer decision to bring Roy back in, despite the fact that there was a plethora of choices for managers, and yet we go back on what is comfortable. We don't take a punt on someone who could. I'm not saying it would have been Glasner at that point. At that point, it could have just been a punt on someone. That was.
On that, Textor wanted Glasner from the summer. Could you
There you go.
imagine what our season could have been?
Exactly.
Mhm.
Exactly.
Yeah.
At that point, quickly on Glasner, it was after this guy's just won the Europa League, for crying out loud. Like, that's huge for him to come from the Bundesliga with Frankfurt and then come to Palace and see what he can do. That must have been what Textor was thinking. Like, what is this guy's potential is limitless if I bring him in at Palace and not go with dinosaur football. Like, we're going with prehistoric football here at Palace.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, that was it. That was the nail in the proverbial coffin for Roy in terms of the entire fan base. I think that's what made the entire fan base realize that's it. End of story.
I think it was way before that.
I think the nail was Brighton.
Me personally, from the second it was announced, I was like, this is the wrong decision. This is it for us. Genuinely, I thought, okay, well, we've had 10 years in the Premier League now. That's about it now. Wrap it up.
I think that genuinely the season was going a bit meh, but I think that for me, the second that the season went all up in the air was losing to Bournemouth at home 2-0.
Yeah.
Because people may have said Luton the 2 weeks before that, but I think losing to Bournemouth, and then we've still got another game against Liverpool to play in the same week as well, and we had all those injuries, and Roy was still playing the same starting 11 for all 4 of those games. I was thinking, this is it, man. We're going down. Because there were some serious conversations that we were having that there's a serious risk that we could get relegated this season. And it's all because of the way he was managing. This is the same team, remember? If anything, he had more fit players then than Glasner did when he had his first game.
The only reason why I
think
say
the Arsenal banner, that was where it turned for Parish, and that's the important thing.
Yeah, I think that's when, as a collective, 100% as a collective fan base, that's when Palace fans all across the world had to say enough is enough. Roy has to go.
Yeah,
I think a lot of fans were like,
believing, because Textor wanted him gone for long, and this is where I actually think that he saw what everyone else was saying.
But then I think
this is what also this as well. This made me fume.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It also has to be said that banner wasn't just also at Roy; it was at Parish as well. because
mainly at the board, because the board had let us down window in, window out. We're all crying out for better players to come in, left back, striker, winger, the whole lot. And
of course,
we're adding bits and pieces to the squad. Sorry to cut you, Nicky, but you look at Parish was great at Plumores people. Oh, we're taking this club to the next level, but we're all sat there literally months after he said that, saying, "What's the next level, Steve?" Because as JC put in the group chat during that whole thing, he put an image of the Sky Bet Championship logo in there, and I said, "Yeah, pretty much. That's the next level he was referring to." Because
just
that
like
Brighton game, that Brighton game, that hurt. And look, they're a much better club than us at that time. You know, can't deny that. But
And also,
it's one thing to lose to them, but to get embarrassed by them, you just sat there thinking, fair enough. If we lose to them on the day, they're the better team. It is what it is. We have to go again. But didn't they score twice in 2 minutes or something like that? Something ridiculous for that. You're thinking, hold on a second, we've only just kicked off. We've conceded again. Biggest game of the season, and this is the display the manager puts on, and then proceeds to risk one of our key players.
You have to.
That's where the fan anger really began to explode with people.
That was, as much as everyone was angry about the result against Brighton, and rightfully so. That Elise decision pissed everyone right off.
If the physios say he's not fit for the game, he's not
don't
fit.
Play him.
Don't play him. If the physio says he can't play 90 minutes, I wouldn't even send him on the bench. I wouldn't even do that.
No. You literally blood a couple of youngsters, even if they're not ready. You just have them on the bench as numbers.
Also,
and
remember,
guys, and people in the chat, please correct me if I'm wrong. I would like to think that
still get us a win. At 3-0 down, you thought an injured Elise would get us a win. Come on, man.
It's mad. And guys, and also those in the chat, I would like to think I'm quite a happy person.
I mean,
I was fuming. Like, I think JC was engaging with the chat during the watch along. I don't think I spoke for half an hour.
This is what you look like for half an hour, genuinely.
I was so angry. So angry. You know, and like I said, I think I'm quite I wouldn't say positive because everyone has their ups and downs, but I'm generally quite
jovial.
Yeah, I like that. Jovial and fun-loving guy. That day, I think even Tim had like questions for me. Aired them. Like, I was so angry.
I'll say this. It's the second full-time hit. I've never seen this guy leave yards so fast in my life. Normally he'll stick around for like 20 minutes, but he was gone.
But good caveat though from the chairman. Hella good. Yeah, I remember being at work during that game. I'm literally just watching the text reports come in, and then I see Elise coming on, and it was at that point I felt like throwing my phone away because I'm just getting. The other fans of all the other clubs that used to work with me are, just bantering me. Oh, fuck off. It's not even Watershed, and I'm just sorry about that. Apologies for the language.
That's pick of the year.
Yeah, you love bullying me for some reason nowadays. Yeah, that was the darkest day I think of the season for us.
Moving on slightly, we're sort of going a little bit back in time, or actually not even back in time. Before we actually did anything in the January transfer window, we brought in 2 phenomenal signings. £24 million spent in January. Yeah, 24.
To answer that, that's the reason why I just started Loxing, because I was just sick and tired of going to the barbers every 2 weeks, and it's going to give me, once it fully grows within about a year or so, bare hairstyles.
Well, you already had the Powerpuff style.
Yeah, I've had the Coolio style. I've had all sorts.
Yeah, but yeah, January transfer window. We left it late, as we always do, because it's the Palace way.
Yep.
But we spend £24 million and we bring in 2 players. A fullback, a right back fullback as well. I remember I think I did a stream where I just was partying because it's a fullback. And then Adam Wharton. Dan was telling us about.
Once we knew Munoz was done, we're like, we have to go live for JC. We have to go live.
Thing is,
I remember that.
didn't we know he was signing? Didn't we know he was signing just straight after Christmas? Wasn't that pretty much almost? The rumors were persistent just before, but then
we had rumors, but both of them signed in the last week of the window.
That's right. That's remember because we were just harping on about announced Munoz.
Because Munoz, his debut was against Brighton, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, same.
That's right. He was unveiled at the Sheffield home game.
Yeah, and the thing is in that first game, Wharton tries to turn, gets dispossessed, and there's a goal. Munoz, as we know now, he's not a back four fullback. And he got violated against Brighton. He got violated against Brighton. And we're sitting there going, oh no, we just spent 25 million on shit again.
I certainly think to play them against Brighton, certainly was a trial by fire. You know, they got thrown into the unfortunate deep end.
I just remembered Brighton was the game that Mark got injured as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
He done his knee.
Yep.
Yes, it just got worse and worse and worse, man.
It did. It really, really did. Dr. Death syndrome certainly hit us.
Yeah, incredible. And I think it was a 4-year deal as well, so mad. But we didn't know how good those guys were going to be the second that there was a system change. We knew Wharton was sick, even in Hodgson's team.
Mm-hmm.
But Munoz took off the second Glasner came in, but we still haven't got there yet. After the Brighton game, full-time hits. Roy Hodgson comes out.
Full-time hits. I run out of JC's yard quick.
Full-time hits. Rich does a runner. I'm sitting there closing off the stream, but I keep the football stream on, and I'm hearing boos from the Palace fans. Everyone's gone at half-time. Everyone say, you're not fit to be our manager. Everyone's cussing. And Roy Hodgson takes it to heart. Goes to do his post-match. And he starts giving us something that we're never going to let go of, I think. I'm never going to let this go in my whole life supporting Palace. Crystal Palace fans are spoiled. They should be lucky that they are in the Premier League, because a club like them should be lucky in the Premier League. They should be happy that they're even in the Premier League. And also, the reason why we've been playing badly is because the young players are shit.
Wow.
Come on, man.
Wow.
França and Ahamada hardly ever played. And the second that your back is against the wall, you need absolutely anything. You need a miracle to try and get a point out of the game. Guess what? You throw those two on in the deep end, and guess what? They ain't ready. They've hardly played all season. But you expect them to go and pull a goal out of nowhere. They're not Wilfried Zaha. And then the cheek to go and blame them afterwards. That is poor. That is so bad. No manager should ever do that to your young players.
The funniest thing about it is Ahamada and França were probably the only two players that actually got a stay of execution off the fans. Because we all said they're not at fault for this. There's a lot of senior players. Yeah. But that's what I'm saying. There's a lot of senior players in that squad. They know what it means. Some of them have played in this fixture before. So you're looking at them and thinking, whatever about the manager? Well, he's just said the fans will never forget nor forgive. There's too much from the media about, oh, Roy's one of them. He's a Palace fan, the whole lot. Okay, whatever. But you don't turn around and dig out the young players. You don't turn around to the fans who prior to this were still backing you and were saying, do you know what? It is what it is. He's our manager until the end of the season. Whether we stay up or go down, it is what it is. The minute he dug out the young players And the minute he tried to hang the fans and say that the fans should be grateful and that we're spoiled and the whole lot, that's when I said, you know what? We're not spoiled, but we haven't demanded anything. No, look, we haven't demanded European football season in, season out. We, as a fan base, know our level. We've all sat here and thought, you know what? With the right window and the right coach, and ideally the right system, Europe may be a possibility. But it's an outside possibility because there's teams with bigger budgets than us that are trying to keep us in that mid-table bracket. But then you're sat there thinking, hang on a minute, Wolves got Europe, Burnley got Europe, Brighton got Europe, Sheffield United nearly got Europe in their first season back in the Prem of, I think, the season before this one.
Wolves as well in their first season up.
Yeah, I said that. Wolves got Europe, yeah. So, but you're looking at the likes of Burnley getting Europe, you're thinking, bloody hell, Burnley played worse football than us and got Europa League. Okay, granted, they didn't get very far. But reality is they qualified for European football. Brighton got there, and to be fair, they built themselves into that position. But you just sat there thinking, whatever about the performance against this lot, because we'll never live it down. They absolutely ripped us to pieces that game. But you sat there thinking, after a kind of game like that, you bring everybody in and say, you know what, we got absolutely ripped to ribbons. Let's change up everything and just go for it for the rest of the season. Because the protective, negative, static, horrible football we were playing was peeing off fans, was peeing off the players, and it was peeing off senior officials at the club. Textor wanted Roy gone from the summer. That alone should have sent shockwaves across people who were trying to still defend Roy. And we know who those people were because we have the receipts on Twitter.
Textor didn't even want Roy when we sacked Vieira.
No, I know that, but that's what I'm saying is that there's people that were very quick to defend Steve Parish and subsequently Roy Hodgson because it was the right thing to do and that the fans that want change and the whole lot, we're the ones that are trying to upset the balance. But we're all sat there thinking, but hang on a second, we've been in the Premier League long enough now where just staying in the league should not be the main objective. It should be a key objective, but it shouldn't be the main objective. If we're not going to push for European football, cool. Push for the cups. We embarrassed ourselves in the League Cup against Man United. Granted, United have a much better squad than us. And in the FA Cup, what was the point in playing? Yeah, but you see what I'm saying? There's that logic of, right, you know what? We are not a team that can regularly compete for European football through the league. Why not have a run in the cups? Wouldn't hurt. There's plenty of people waxing lyrical that the academy needs a shout. Give some youngsters in. So you're thinking, okay, but are any of them ready? Probably not. But this has been bubbling over from a long time with a lot of fans. And there's some key high-profile players that were saying that. So not players, sorry, fans. There's the likes of FYP, Back of the Nest, ourselves. We were all mirroring the exact same sentiments. Roy Hodgson was never, in any way, shape, or form, the right man for the job. But somehow, because of his previous track record at the club, he got the job. Which, oh my lord, it was just, I don't like being reminded of those dark days because, it weren't great. It weren't great. To be fair.
And then not long after that, Hodgson leaves and Glasner comes in. But Hodgson leaves on medical grounds. Are we all in agreement that that's probably made up to try and make it seem a little, because he really doesn't want to be known as being sacked from his final job ever in football, does he?
Well, if we go back to that Everton game, it's the day before where Twitter was kind of like moving a little bit crazy in terms of like, oh, Roy Hodgson has been admitted to hospital on medical grounds, and the club
was taking training and this, that, the other.
Paddy McCarthy would take the game. Yeah, Paddy McCarthy would take charge of the game and of training, and then everyone was there like, wait, so he's gone or isn't he? So like it was very much like we didn't know exactly, like, hang on, is he sacked or is he like just standing down? And then obviously it became the case of, oh, it's a bit of both. I certainly think that was made up on purpose because, as you said, JC, it was his final job, and no one wants to say that, oh, your last job before you actually finally retire, you get the sack. But then again, football is the crucible in which you live or you die. That's football, especially in the modern era of this game.
Mm.
You do or you die. You know, swim or you sink or swim. I think it's a case of Hodgson knew he was done, and I think it was the case of the club certainly just wanted to, as Tim here, just didn't want to boot him. You know, you didn't want to boot him beforehand when he had medical issues and he had to be taken, you know, from Copers to the hospital, and
Yeah.
there was no way in which the club looked good, or at least came out in a positive light, sacking him before, during, or after. So it was a case of mutual consent. That's how it happens.
And
For
also,
me,
to be fair,
it was a
it's gotta
PR
be
narrative.
it's got to be a pretty bad situation for Glasner to come into. He probably feels a bit bad even coming into a situation like this as well, isn't it?
Yes, definitely. Because, you know,
He's never done it before, correct? He's never done it. He's always
that is
he's always
true.
been at a football club from the start. So, and I don't mean to cut you, Nikki. I don't mean to
No. You made the point that I was about to make, Nathan, that Oliver Glasner has never joined a club halfway through a season. He even mentioned this in his first interview on CPFC TV. He never actually wanted to join at this point of the season. He wanted to wait until this coming up summer after post Euros.
I mean, I think, look, for me, the whole Roy Hodgson thing, I think it was a very cleverly spun narrative where the club doesn't look bad for letting go of a man in his mid to late 70s, where Roy Hodgson gave an awful lot for the football club in both spells in charge. Sadly, it was going very sour from comments he made, and also, you know, some of the things that were done during the season. But Glasner arriving when he did, and obviously his brilliant stunt to say he's not a magician. Interesting choice of words, but I think you know, Hodgson, in a lot of people's minds, he'll be remembered for some of those massive games in his first spell, and to a lesser extent his second time at the club. But bringing in Glasner the way they did, it wasn't ideal, but at the same time it was necessary because the toxicity among the fan base was reaching massively high levels, and you're looking at that thinking, holy hell, this is really bad, because there's people that would have been, you know, were friends for years on Palace Twitter that were having vicious fallouts because one could have been arguably keep Roy for the moment, and one's adamant that Roy has to go. And then there's people that are taking swing at the board. They're saying Parish is the problem and the whole lot. But I think Glasner arriving when he did was a chance for us all to say, do you know what? Roy is gone. If this Glasner guy is any good, then maybe things will turn around. And obviously, at the time of his appointment, we weren't to know how good he would turn out. But yeah, it's safe to say that he certainly is a magician, despite him stating the opposite.
Yeah. And then Glasner comes in. I think Chairman made the point earlier that in Paddy's game against Everton, he implemented Glasner's tactics already, and even in that game, even though we didn't get the result we wanted, it was still a much better performance. And the second that Glasner came in, something just clicked, and we just started playing football amazingly. We started getting our players back. We started having patterns of play. We started having tactics. Still didn't score a corner all season, which is sick. But the fact that everything else in the club just improved drastically the second he came in, and even hearing reports from inside the club, they're all saying, yeah, Glasner's the guy to take this club to the next level legitimately now. It's not just lip service now. But the fact that we were in a really bad situation, and then he comes in, gets us a few good results, and now we're thinking, we've got one of the hardest runs to the end of the season. And as you said, was it 6 wins out of 7, right?
Yeah, 6 wins out of our last 7 games.
And statistically, at that point in the season, all these people that do the tactics and the numbers and stuff like that, they said statistically we had the hardest running of any club in the Premier League to the end of the season. And look at what we did. as you said, Glasner's the magician. Nicky, how good were those last 2 months of the season?
If you'd have told me that with that run, we'd have gotten 18 points out of those 6 wins, I would have thought you're playing FIFA, mate. Like, jump off of playing games. This is real life. And then to see
Facts.
the style, to see the development under Glasner, it looked like this was like, hang on, is this a brand new team? Huh? Where were these players? You know, when we started on this run, it's like, oh, new manager bounce, okay. And then you started thinking, hang on a minute, this isn't a manager bounce. This is different football.
Yeah.
When we started scoring left, right, and centre, we were mashing up teams with goal differences that, hang on, we don't score 4 against Man United. We don't get these mad scorelines against West Ham. Like, huh? This ain't my football club.
I think you've missed the biggest point there as well. What has he done to Mateta? Because at the start of the season,
Jean-Philippe Mateta, bro.
At the start of the season, I don't know if you guys have seen it, but I actually tweeted myself, if we could get £10 million for Mateta, I think we should make a statue for Parish at the corner flag. That's what I tweeted. I had to submit my apology form. I had to submit it.
Jean-Philippe Mateta found his final form. My God, did he find form? He found his final form. My God, the corner flag just never recovered after that. Then the boys became the go-to meme. We had away fans visiting Selhurst, making TikToks, making Mateta go viral purely because Jean-Philippe Mateta did not stop scoring. For the fact that sorry, it's just crazy the fact that you think, oh, Palace have 2 choices of striker, Jean-Philippe Mateta, Hodgson, Edouard. One of them becomes a prolific goal scorer in the final run of the season. You're not going to think it's JP. You're going to think it's the younger, hungrier striker in Hodgson, Edouard, who's got a track record of being a prolific goal scorer for Celtic. Nope. Hold that. It was JP Mateta, just like, time for me to show up.
He made everyone play better. Like, Schlupp's never scoring that goal against Fulham under Hodgson.
Oh,
that's true. But then again, remember, we were starting to see the turn up of Mateta in January, because it's a known fact. This isn't myth. It's set in stone. Jean-Philippe Mateta during a transfer window is a dangerous person because he didn't want to leave, and then lo and behold.
No, he wanted to go. I'm sure we were trying to negotiate a deal with Frankfurt.
That is true. I stand corrected. He did want to go, but then evidently he saw the light at the end of the proverbial tunnel, and he thought, what if? Lo and behold.
It felt to me like Mateta was trying to emulate another certain bald striker who has a magic hat, because he was hitting Andy Johnson levels of goal scoring towards the end of the season. Now, I'm not trying to put him in the same bracket as Andy Johnson for clarification, but what I'm saying is, when it came to Mateta in the last 2 months of the season, you were saying to yourself, Mateta scored again and again and again. And obviously we were all there for the Aston Villa game where he bags a hat-trick. But those 2 goals against Newcastle, I was sat there thinking, if you'd have said to me that game would finish 2-0, I'd have thought 2-0 to Newcastle. Do you know what? On the surface of it, that wouldn't be a bad result. It'd be a shame to lose the unbeaten streak under Glasner from when it was started at Liverpool. But it just felt to me like we're a totally different team. And Mateta played a massive part in that, because his confidence grew with every time he found the back of the net. And the only time he didn't find the back of the net was Liverpool and Fulham, if I'm not mistaken. Because Eze scored at Liverpool and Schlupp scored at Fulham. But I think every other game, Mateta scored, if I'm not mistaken.
I'd like to put in my own little theory as to
this is Mateta under Hodgson and under Glasner.
My God in heaven, that is sensational.
My own theory is that Roy's coaching team was obviously Ray and Paddy for most of the part. when you look at the size of the coaching team that Glasner brought in with him, he brought in his entire coaching side from Frankfurt. I think it certainly looks like JP got a lot of attention from the coaching side from at Copers. You know, we saw on the training pitch, when you saw the CCTV videos of the training, it looked great. And then that was transferring onto the pitch because there was a much more positive outlook in terms of training. Everyone was having a lot more fun. Everyone was smiling again.
Yeah.
We
And also
saw
Glasner
JP
made a big effort for fitness as well, because that was a huge issue.
Like imagine, like we were like the became the JP fantastic meme. We were seeing this after every game, and
Well,
we
the
started
thing is,
smiling again.
With Glasner, he's got a reputation of doing this, doesn't he?
Mm.
He made Wout Weghorst the 20-goal-a-season striker at Wolfsburg. He made that fraud Colomwani into one of the best strikers in the world, to then sell him for 70 million to PSG to never play again because he's rubbish.
There you
So
go.
the fact that he can just turn these strikers into absolute killers is just something that I'm just so grateful for, really.
And I will say, when it comes to Glasner, Frankfurt during his tenure there was not an easy place to go for any of the Bundesliga teams. Any of those teams were not having an easy run of it. Sure, they might have slipped up against Bayern, against Leverkusen, against Wolfsburg, and the like. But you would have to work for it. There was no landslide victories there. You'd have to work for your wins at Frankfurt.
And then with the Glasner effect, it led us to Liverpool 1-0 Palace, West Ham 5-2 Palace, Newcastle 2-0 Palace, Fulham 1-1, Man United 4-0 Palace, Wolves 3-1 Palace, and finally Aston Villa 5-0 Palace. And something very special that day happened. Brighton fell apart. They lost to Man United, and because of all of our goals and the fact that we won so amazingly, they, with their super team that has a few injuries, which we had more factually, we factually had more injuries than they did, we still finished above them. What an end to the season. Rich,
And they lost
4 points off us. 4 points off us, but 1 point behind us.
Just before I speak on that final day, I just want to look back at just very quickly the goal we scored against Newcastle, that first goal. That 1-2 between JP and IE was mad. And I was in Gambia at the time, and I was like, yeah! And I've got my colleagues looking at me like, what happened? It's like, because obviously the big screen they're watching, it was Sheffield United at the time. And I didn't care for that game. I was obviously on my phone watching the Palace game. It's like, they're like, oh, no, your manager's cooking. I was like, he is. But that final game, now granted, like I said, Villa on the beach, they've had a few injuries.
Goalkeeper.
But I looked at ourselves, and we still had a killer mentality. And that's the difference on the Glasner. He don't care for excuses from other teams. He's just looking at us and looking to just destroy. He said it from his first conference. I want goals, goals, goals. It says it all. He said he wants goals, goals, goals. Now, nearly 30 goals scored. That is mad.
Jean-Philippe certainly said, I got you, bro.
It was
so
fantastic.
And it's so exciting to think that with this amazing play, Decore is still injured. França is still injured. Ozo hardly played. Amma probably needs to get a few more minutes under his belt. Like, next season, we're already stronger if we've got our players back. And from what we can see already with what Glasner and Dougie are doing, the Glasner pool is already looking real, because we've potentially bought a Barcelona protege for not a lot of money. So we're already getting busy there.
I just
also
want to say,
linked to Lacroix and Kamada as well.
And Gabriel Sara.
For free. Kamada as well.
I do just want to say also, take Palace at the beginning, just as Glasner joined, and answer me this, you guys here and in the comments. How many of our players looked like they were ready for international setups. And be honest with me, because regardless of like your mainstays, like your ones you go out, like Joachim, obviously he's got walked straight into the Denmark setup. He's been in there for years. You've had Mark, who's now sort of just having a look in at that point, but was injured.
Say our whole team, apart from maybe Hughes, should be at international.
There you go. Now look at us now. Look when you look at us now. When we had, you've got Sam and Dean who are fighting for that number 2 spot for the England setup. It's probably just going to be now Dean.
Well, the thing
because of the choice, but it's crazy.
Sorry to cut you, Nicky.
Go on.
But even if Johnstone and Henderson were both fit, Southgate would kick out Ramsdale because he doesn't rate Ramsdale. He'd probably take both of them.
Yeah, Ramsdale's not even selected, is he?
Yeah, he is.
He is. It was James Trafford.
Pope didn't get selected.
Oh, it's Trafford as well.
Yeah. Trafford, Henderson,
Yeah, so
Ramsdale and Pickford.
Between Johnstone and Henderson there, like 2 of our goalkeepers there.
Which is crazy. Like, when have we ever seen, in terms of England selections, 4? We are up there, big team bias
Should
now.
have been 5. I
Should have
don't
been
know
5.
how Tyreek Mitchell made it.
Even with Trippier injured as well. He's actually injured. How is T still not there?
Which is crazy. Consider the fact that Mitchell could still. This is only provisional. Mitchell could actually still be selected. Like this is only just a provisional
If he's not in the
training squad.
He's not going. Let's be real.
I think depends on how well. True, but imagine the fact that we could have had the biggest addition to the England team. When has that ever happened? That's insane.
And then,
considering that we've got the second most players in this provisional training squad for just England alone, and then you've got the fact that Didier Deschamps is an absolute lemon, not choosing Michael and JP.
can I just say that if I was JP and Michael's agents, or if I was Palace, I would say to them, bruv, reject the Olympics, because that is a violation to not get picked for the Euros and to get sent to the Olympics. I would turn it down, because that is.
Can I play devil's advocate to you? Can I play devil's advocate to you there?
Okay.
The only reason why it might be the fact that they might go is because where the Olympics is. It's home. It's in Paris. I don't get me wrong. I don't want them to go. Let me just say this personally. But at the same time, when you're hosting a sporting event the size of the Olympics, granted, it's not the Euros, granted, it's not the World Cup or anything, but it is in France. This is the Paris Olympics.
Mm-hmm. But then let me reply then.
Go on.
Michael Elise, very injury prone. Would you rather him get injured at the Euros or the Olympics, which is my first question? And I'd say the Euros, but preferably I'd rather him not get injured whatsoever. And also, the Olympics is a non-professional sport, so he's going to be playing against non-professionals who are probably going to tackle him even worse than the professionals will. So he's going to have more chance of getting injured. So I would say hell no.
That's true. There's less games in the Euros. Olympics is only a handful of qualifiers, and then you've got your medal matches. Euros is what? 3 group stage games, and then your round of 16, your quarterfinal, your semi-final, your final. If France, well, it's not even a case of if France, it's when France, considering their squad is insane. But
can I say something quickly on this Elise injury prone thing? I wouldn't say he's injury prone. He's just had one bad injury, which was mismanaged.
And it's just flared up. It's flared up a fair time, but I certainly think it's a case of when you look at the tackles that players will go in for on previously on Zaha. We've seen him. He was the most fouled player in a single season. Now you look at Saka, most fouled player in this season. it's a case of, oh, if I can't, if this guy's getting past me and I can't do nothing about it, I'm hitting him. I'm hitting him off the pitch, like he's getting tackled.
Mhm.
So I think that's what it is. There's a middle ground in between here.
I do
to be
think
found.
that Elise is actually injury prone though, because he came in with a back injury, and then at the end of Vieira's first season, he went out again for an ankle injury, and then he was out, and then he got his. I think he had another back injury for a few weeks, and then he had his Euros ACL. So he is actually pretty injury prone, and then he was mismanaged. So I would definitely say he's injury prone. But to round out this stream, because this stream is like there's a lot to talk about this season, because it was a bit of a mad one.
There is, yeah.
Just rounding out on some, I guess, current news. Dougie, new contract, is staying. I would probably say that's just as big as signing a player, because
Piss off Newcastle.
Because effectively, it's probably not going to happen, but Dougie could find us another Elise, he could find us another Eze, he could find us another Wharton. So that is incredible for us. Apparently we've signed or looking to sign Chadi Riyad.
Yeah.
He is Moroccan. He's not Spanish, so I'm sorry. Because Rich messaged me first thing in the morning. I was thinking, oh man. But he's Moroccan. He's a good centre back. He's young, left-footed centre back as well, so he can play on that right side of the free. He done that for Betis last season.
Betis fans don't want to let him go.
Yeah, the Twitter test is what we normally do there. If fans are upset, we got a good player. So that's one thing. 20 years old, very young, 14 million pounds as well. I'm not even £1 million, €1 million, very cheap. I actually think that he would come in for squad depth. I don't actually think he'll come in to start, which is quite amazing to think about. Because we are still looking at the guy that Rich mentioned. I'm not even going to try and pronounce his name.
I believe it's Lacroix.
But he would come in as a Mark replacement, and that seems to be what the club's doing, because even though it looks like this deal is done, the signing for Lacroix still looks like it's going to happen anyway. And also there's links with Mark to Man United, which is probably where I would expect him to go as well. And
I'm also hearing Branthwaite.
The final bit of, I think Branthwaite would cost too much, actually, because Everton wants 75 for him, but we would accept 60 for Mark.
80.
Yeah, so yeah, Branthwaite's not worth it, no way. But I think that we're going to try and get as much money for Mark as possible, because he's not signing a new deal, and we have to sell him this summer if he's not signing.
Yeah.
So 60 million.
On that. He has to go this year, regardless.
So 60 million on a 20 million investment is incredible business. Let's not get that wrong. That's 40 million over 3 years.
Then imagine all the add-ons as well. You're probably looking crazy numbers.
And also, if you think about it this way, let's say you get 60 million. I'd say that's a little bit low, actually. Let's say you get 60 million, and then you get Riyad in for 14, and then you get Lacroix for 25. You've still got another 10.5 or 10, 15 million pounds left over from the Mark sale, and you've replaced him twice. So that is incredible business for me. And the final one is one that I believe Nate's doing a TikTok about later, is apparently John Textor all of a sudden wants to sell Crystal Palace because we are a club that don't want to buy into his multi-club model. Do we agree with this? Because we actually haven't utilized the multi-club model thing at all, and Parish voted against it, I remember.
Damn, that you beat me to saying that. When this vote came out and it was made public across various news outlets that the 20 clubs had come together to vote on the multi-club models and everything, was it going to be allowed? Steve Parish comes out as, the usual. I don't know why he thinks he is the voice of reason when it comes to the Premier League clubs. He seems to be the most vocal. Love it or hate it. He publicly says he's against it.
Yeah. The links in the chat, but with this one, there's no sell-on clause. The clause is they have the opportunity to match whatever he's going to be sold for. So it's a really stupid clause, if you ask me. Sorry, Nicky.
No, I was just adding in Tim here. Welcome, Tim. It's certainly
Tim spoiled. Look.
we as a club are just, I don't know why Steve Parish wants to say, oh, I am the voice of reason here. No to no Premier League club models. What's that? One of the main shareholders in the club that I chair has, wants to go with multi-club model. No, we won't want that because, what's the potential of Botafogo and Leon and God knows who else might want to be involved, Molenbeek as well. Nah. Oh, do you know, there are times where I appreciate Steve Parish for everything he's done over the last 14 years. And then there are times I genuinely want him to shut up. The guys are flipping clamp it sometimes. We should be using a multi-club model because it is the future of football. Look at the writing on the wall. Crying out loud, Parish.
Is it? I mean,
I'd certainly say it is.
I don't think that's proven, Nicky. I think it is for Manchester City. I think it is for the City Football Group. I have not seen it get really much traction with anybody else. And here's the reason why. Once you are a multi-club model, somebody's top of the pyramid. And everybody wants to be top of the pyramid. And so we don't know if John Textor, let's say John Textor takes over Palace. Is Palace top of the pyramid or is Lyon top of the pyramid? Which is the one that's been to the Champions League more times?
Yeah,
I think it's Lyon.
Lyon definitely would be top of the pyramid in terms of their stature right now in Ligue 1. Obviously, their season they've been on a roller coaster.
But not just stature. Like, who's going to get the premium players? Who's going to get first dibs on transfers? Who's going to get the most budget? That's going to be Lyon. I'm not saying that a multi-club model can't work, but if you're City Football Group, it is very, very clear who is top of the pyramid. That's Manchester City. But in this case, I'll try not to make this a rant. I'll just make it a quick hot take. I'm hearing a lot of stuff about how this is bad for Palace. It sucks that Textor's leaving. Please, for the love of God, understand what this man's incentives are. I do think I'm going to give Textor credit for being the aggressive guy that moved Parish further, like closer to what we as fans want. I think that was great. I think it's necessary. Whoever the next owner is, I want more of that. But I never wanted Textor in control. Never. And here's the reason why. His incentive is to make Eagle football more valuable. Never forget that. That is the number one thing that John Textor wants to do. He wants to take Eagle football public, and if he controls every asset inside of Eagle football, and Crystal Palace doesn't fit that. He doesn't control Crystal Palace. He controls the other ones. If he controls those assets, he has a much better sales pitch to those people who want to come in and buy a piece of Eagle football. And when he goes onto the New York Stock Exchange with Eagle football, now he has liquidity. Now he can raise convertible debt. He can sell more equity. He can do a ton of other things so he can expand his empire. It's harder with Crystal Palace as part of that group of assets. So why does he want to go to Everton? Even though Everton is, pardon my language, is a shit show right now, is because there is a much better chance that he can go in with whatever capital he can raise. And let's say it's like $750 million. Because if you value, he's selling his Palace equity stake at it's going to be a premium because we're in a much better position right now. So he goes to Rain Group. Rain Group's got a valuation. And let's say he's made an argument, say, look, I have made a bunch of investments into this club and we're in the best place we've ever been right now. This club is worth at least 500 million pounds, and I have a 40% stake. That means you can lend me collateral on 200 million. I've got 200 million pounds worth of collateral because I own 40% of that football club. And so he can raise a bunch more capital, maybe get 750 million, goes to Everton, goes to, Farhad Mashiri and say, look, here's my offer. I can give you cash. You want to get out, take my money, and I will be the controlling shareholder now because Mashiri owns 94%. That serves Eagle football. Okay, sorry. I said I wasn't going to rant, so I'm going to stop there.
I just wanted to
No,
throw
that
this
was
out there,
spot on, Tim.
though. Just quickly. Now, granted, I don't want him as the main owner myself. But one thing we can't neglect is that the decisions he has made or wanted to make have been good ones.
He's been really good in that sense, Rich. I
So,
agree.
granted, if he wants that full share and he's not going to get it, fair enough. I'm happy with that. But there's something about him that has been very beneficial to our club.
Couldn't
I
agree
know
more.
Matthias France has been injured, but there's something there with that kid.
No question.
He's got a great relationship with Dougie. He wanted Glasner. So there's little bits that he's done really well. So I guess if he was to just have a little bit more say as opposed to control,
Mm-hmm.
I think it could work. But if he wants to go, there's nothing we could do.
I think I think his influence, this is what I totally agree with that, Rich. Like, I think he has pulled Parrish a little bit, like he's made him more ambitious, which is what we badly needed. And I really thank John Textor for that. That was good. And I don't want us to lose that.
Mm-hmm.
But him in control, no, his incentives are not right.
I also, in my opinion, I think that he's a man that likes to take risks, but I feel like there's some risks that I just think are just a little bit too far, and it just gets to the point where it's not a risk anymore. It's just a little bit idiotic sometimes, and I feel like sometimes you're just thinking, you don't have to do like when, for example, when he mouthed off at the Brazilian officiating because he said
they're still going to be in court for that.
They're all corrupt. Like for example, if he did that in the Premier League, we would be fined to all hell.
Yeah.
Just for that, and like sometimes I think the emotions get the better of it. Like granted, being passionate and being emotional, that's great as being a coach. Like, when he's going around the Molenbeek fans in the fan park, having loads of beers on his skateboard or whatever, that's all great. But then the second he mouths off, it's an issue. But yeah, that's what's your thoughts on the season?
You know, Textor broke his elbow while skateboarding.
Yeah, no, that's why I said it.
Tony Hawk's, he is not.
No,
I mean, to be fair, he was kind of smooth on the skateboard when I saw a clip. I have to say, it's better than I can do.
Anyway, like the season, it could be described as Two-Face from Batman. One half is the ugly side, the other half is the beautiful side. If the beautiful side lasted till August, till the end. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
There we go.
Sean? I think Sean's at work again. Sean, you there?
He's definitely at work.
Yeah, he's at work.
THOMS.
Yeah.
I tell you what, if he comes back, that's how we know that he's here.
Yeah, Sean, type in the chat if you're ready to talk, and then we'll put you in. But we might be done by then, though, because the last thing I want to do before we round out the stream is I'm going to go around the panel. Everyone's going to give this season a rating from 1 to 10, seeing how it goes. So we will start with you, all. because normally we come to you last. So we'll start with you.
Oh, because I'm the quiet one, isn't it?
Yeah, and you've got the OBS camera thing on. So
I'm sorry, I don't have a camera.
I won't lie. No pressure.
I'm not showing my face anytime soon, mate. Anyway, season is I want to say 5 out of 10, but that's a bit boring because, you know, one half of it was shit, the other half was brilliant, but 5 out of 10 is kind of where I am right now.
yeah, that's just a definition of mid, though, isn't it? Right in the middle.
Yeah.
Tim.
This is going to be another hot take. I'll go 7.5 for the reason that I've experienced the full range of emotions. I mean, I was so angry during that Brighton game. But at the end of it, I have never... Yes, exactly. Never forget that. Hashtag never forget, Rich. But the amount of dreaming I have done about Palace's future coming at the end of the season and even just this past week, I honest to God, I'm looking forward to I'm looking now for all right, when am I going to see Transfer Weekly? Because I can't remember being this positive. So that sort of makes me forget how dark it got, even though it got really, really dark.
100%.
Signing a player 5 days after the season end. This ain't my Palace.
Yeah, and also the fact that as we've seen, we've gone from this happening from Rich to this Rich in the same season. So, you know, Nate, rating out of 1 to 10.
Oh boy, it's a season of two halves, isn't it? I mean, pretty much mirror what the guys have said before me. Really, you'd have to give the Roy end of the season a very low score. The Glasner end of the season, you didn't want it to end, but collectively, I'm going to agree with the chairman. I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10 because look, there was a lot of bad, but there was also a fair bit of good. So it's kind of balanced itself out. And being a Libra, I know all about balance. But yeah, I mean, just hopefully this coming season will be much better because I can't go through more charity professional football club. I know I'm the man who coined the term, but trust me, I don't want to have to tweak that ever again because after that Luton game, I was just like, I thought I could get rid of this term, but it's like an albatross over me. But yeah, I'll give it a 7 out of 10.
Nikki?
I'm going to go 6. 6 out of 10 there. For me, I think, as we said, the bad and the good sort of just weigh each other out. But I think there is light at the end of the tunnel. I know I keep saying that, but that'll be 6 because genuinely this is an unhealthy club to support. My heart has just been exactly as UK Pat has just said. I go through enough mental health issues as it is. I don't need my club doing this to me as well. But yeah, 6 out of 10 for me.
Rich?
Never boring.
I'm going to 7. Because to be fair to Ron Gittins, there's a little bit of credit. He did start the season pretty decently, before it just went all to pot. And obviously Glasner's the one that's picked it up. So I'm going to go 7 out of 10. Got a massive transfer window ahead. I'm glad that looks like we started business early with this signing of Riyadh. And I hope it continues. I hope we just get our business done early. So yeah, fingers crossed.
Yeah, I would go with 6 because I feel like the first half of the season, that first month or two was good, was decent, but the period after the first decent part of the season and Glasner, that part of the season, which is most of it, was so bad. I'm gonna go 6 because I think that just balances the awful to the incredible. I feel like a 6 is perfect for this season, but it's one of those ones where it's a 6, but my God, am I excited for next season?
I do just want to agree with Rich because we're getting business done early. We're jumping on this transfer train really, really quickly. Looks like we're getting people in.
You are a bad guy.
But
You know what you did.
I genuinely do not.
That is rude.
Jumping on the transfer train. You know what you did.
Choo choo. Anyway, guys, thank you very much for watching. This stream has gone over by half an hour. I am very grateful for everyone that's watched the channel over the whole season, and hopefully you guys carry on watching because we've got quite a lot of stuff planned for the off season and the transfer
yes,
window.
we do.
So yeah, hopefully you guys are enjoying what we're doing. As always, like, share, subscribe if you haven't already, because the more of you that are here, the more of you that can listen to our terrible hot takes and Nikki's awful ball knowledge.
Of course, gotta be consistent.
Obviously, we've got a big up Tim and as always, for always jumping in and sharing their thoughts. Much appreciated, and also fans from over the world as well, Tim.
Man, it's brilliant. More Palace in the States. We're making it happen. It's gonna happen. Come on.
100%. But guys, thank you very much for watching. Keep watching the channel. A few things are coming out, so enjoy, really. And as always, up the Palace.
Up the Palace.
Eagle.
Eagle.